next stage after boiling is obviously cooling. And we need to cool down the water so the yeast can survive in the environment, and we cool it to the temperature that's required. Each culture of yeast or strain of yeast require different temperature. So you know, lagers have 10 degrees approximately, ales from 18 to 25.
Yes.
So heat exchanger is the next stage where this part is very important because it needs to be very clean. Because once the temperature drops down, it becomes very sensitive to any infections.
Yeah,
and from here we pump the wort, which is already chilled, cooled, to our open fermentation vessels, and the fermentation takes place for approximately 7 days for lagers, or for ales about 3 to 4 days.
Okay. And open fermentation, so all your beers are open fermented?
Not all of them, most of them I would say. We're trying to accommodate those beers that are sort of a bit more sensitive or benefit from open fermentation. We're trying to ferment them there.
So in a true traditional style, you're trying to keep it to the most traditional way possible.
It's very traditional, very unusual for New World, if you like.
Yes.
It's a very European thing. But even in Europe, the modern technology takes over.
Okay.
So we also have modern technology in the brewery, as I mentioned, for some of the beers.
Of course.
And obviously, creating so many different beers nowadays becomes a bit of a problem because we have different strain of yeast and we can't really use that rule for all the strains.
Okay.
Because they start the cross-contamination to each other.
Yes.
We have to separate that from. We have to separate the beers from each other. So we're using modern technology, unitanks, and that's where the process is very similar, with the difference that. You don't have to transfer the beer from open fermenter to maturation tank, so it stays all there.
Okay, great. I guess you don't want all your beers to be lambics, really, do you?
That's correct. Yes.
That's it. Okay, well let's have a quick look.
Let's go. So the next stage of the process is fermentation.
Sure.
As I mentioned, we have open fermenters and unitanks.
Yes.
Open fermentation is very sensitive to any bacteria, so I will allow you to sneak in a little bit for a quick look.
Very quick.
An advantage of these open fermenters is that brewer can actually visually control the beer.
Sure.
And have an idea what's going on there.
Great.
The fermentation takes place in different stages. One of the first stages is injecting the yeast and aerating the wort after cooling.
Sure.
And then the beer basically starts slowly, the wort I should call it, that stage, starts slowly fermenting. And create stages of first white krausen and then brown. So it looks quite magnificent in a vessel when the beer is producing CO2, carbon dioxide, which is lifting up all the bitterness substances and creates nice foam on the top of the tank.
So you'd certainly be able to recognise all the krausen and see, exactly.
Exactly. Experienced brewer will exactly know where the beer is at what stage. Obviously, we still have to take some samples to measure the gravity, temperature.
Sure.
But the advantage is also that we can collect the foam from the top of the tank or from the top of the beer.
Sure.
And that foam contains lots of bitter substances.
Okay.
And if you want to create a beer that's very mild, in sort of without harsh bitterness, that's the important part.
Fantastic. Okay, on to the next spot.
Next spot we have to go, we have to pump the beer from open fermenters into our lagering tanks.
Right.
So let's have a look.
So Jan, this looks like a scene out of a sci-fi movie. It's absolutely fantastic. It looks like the decompression chambers, but no, they're great.
Yeah, these are our maturation tanks.
Yes.
They also came from the original brewery in Germany.
Sure.
So they have a bit of history behind them, and again, very traditional equipment. It's hand cleaned, so no automation whatsoever. It means that
Who gets that job?
I get that job usually. It means I have to make sure I can still fit through the door. Plug in.
This is the door.
This is the door. Yes.
Come on.
This is the door.
I'm waiting to see a little news report one day of your feet sticking out.
I hope not.
You're a big boy. Come on. You're broad across the shoulders. Look at that.
You have to squeeze in.
Yeah.
And that's, I suppose, a part of handcrafted product.
Yeah.
It's still, handcrafted. We're using our hands to, to make this product.
Yes,
so,
yes.
These tanks hold approximately 1.5 of brew, of each brew. So I'd say 3,000, 3,700, so probably a little bit less than that.
Sure.
But they stay here for, the beer stays here for a very long time.
Yes.
Our sort of minimum required time is 6 weeks, but quite often we reach about 8 to 12 weeks.
Correct.
Obviously in summer months it gets about 8, in winter we can afford to have a bit longer maturation time.
Yes, yes.
And that has great benefit to the flavour of the beer.
Mm-hmm. So probably I'd be right in saying to counter the consumption, you'd have to be continually brewing, wouldn't you, to have a contingency of having these
That's correct.
almost full all the time?
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. So
We have
a lot of work.
to always make sure when this gets empty, it's filled up.
Yes. Yep.
Because we can't predict the demand. Obviously, we know
No,
in summer
that's right.
we can assume that we're going to sell more beer.
Yes. Yes.
But also with more types of beers, it puts a bit more pressure on us
Yes.
as well. So we have to make sure we don't sacrifice the number of products against the time of lager.
Certainly.
Which
yeah.
quite often happens in commercial world.
Oh yes. Yeah. Just pump it out as quickly as possible.
That's right.
Yes. Yeah.
So our beers are very well matured. As I said, it's very unique again in craft brewing world or even commercial brewing world. And that's also because we are producing lager. Some obviously craft brewers they produce ale, so
Yes.
the time is not required there.
Absolutely. Yes.
But for fine lagers, you definitely need that
Yes.
time.
Yeah. Well, it's certainly working.
Thank you.
You're an award winner. And it's a delicious drop. So.
Cheers.
G'day Craig,
Hi John, how are you? Good.
Good mate, good. Need a keg filled up.
No worries at all. We'll fill it up with your Ninja Ginger.
Absolutely.
No worries at all.
Got to get some ninja in the ginger.
Yeah, you did right.
And I've been too busy doing BrewTV to get on top of my own brews at home, so I thought I'd pop down and get a keg filled for Christmas.
Not a worry in the world.
If it lasts.
If it lasts,
Yeah,
that's
that's
exactly
it.
right. I know the feeling. Good on you, mate. Thanks very much.
Good
We'll
on
get
you.
that done.
Thanks Craig.
Cheers.
Yeah. We're at Brews R Us with Craig. So Craig, tell us, how did Brews R Us start and what do you do here?
We started about 13 years ago with myself, my brother and Barry, my father.
Yes.
So it's a family sort of business. We decided to go into the brewing premise situation where you can actually come in here and actually make beer for yourself.
Yes.
And also have the home brew shop out the front.
Yes.
Which sort of keeps the people involved in beer at home, but if they don't want to do that, well then they can come down here and actually do our 140 different styles of beer. So, and at this time of year, around Christmas time, it's a good place to come down and make your beer. 2 weeks later, we look after fermentation wise. We keg it up. We then gas the beer, ready for you to come down and bottle it. And we can also keg as well, but most people are kegging at the moment because I suppose people are getting to a stage where they're doing the al frescoes areas at the back.
Absolutely.
And just loving doing beers, no preservatives, no chemicals, all that sort of thing.
Exactly. And you brew to the styles, and I've noticed your 140 styles of beer. You've certainly got a lot on offer there.
Correct. So if someone said to me, I like Corona style, we've got something like it called Mexican.
Yep.
If they like the Fat Yak style, which is more of a pale ale, which we're drinking at the moment, it's more of an amber sort of style of beer, and sort of got that real nice hoppy aftertaste.
Yep.
And even for the ladies and obviously men, we're doing a sort of a black currant cider and apple cider now.
Fantastic. Yes.
Which sort of makes people go down that line where they don't have to go to the pubs and clubs anymore.
Sure.
They can actually do it at home.
Have a few more drinks at home without worrying about driving. And
Correct.
you've got your draft beer at home.
Exactly.
Which is a great way to go.
It's a great way to go.
So tell me, Craig, 13 years ago when you started,
Yes.
what were the styles of beer that people were choosing then versus what they're choosing now 13 years down the track?
Certainly people now are choosing more of the pale ales now.
Yes.
They're sort of going down the line of the beers that are a little bit more...
Hoppier?
I suppose, you know, and more lagery sort of taste rather than just the Corona where... the Corona style, exactly.
So people are looking for a bit more of a malt profile and a bit more hops and a bit more adventurous rather than a...
Well, that's right. You know, these days you can go to a pub and sort of have all these different styles of beer, and you can do that here, but you can choose which way you want to do it. If you said to me, look, I like that style of beer, but it's not hoppy enough, we just put a little bit more hops in it.
Certainly, great.
If you wanted a little bit more alcoholic, we can put a little bit more in, or we can take it out.
Sure.
So it's
great. You can tailor it to whatever people want.
Correct.
So someone would come in and say, I like this style of beer, and you suggest these styles, and can they have a taste of them if they're available?
Sure. Certainly. There's always beer here that people are picking up, and I'm sure taking a little bit out of each person's beer to have a taste of it before they have to do 50
It's all for the
litres.
greater good,
It's all
isn't it?
for the greater good.
That's
exactly.
right. That's right. Fantastic. Well, we're going to finish these beers, watch a bit more of the cricket.
Lovely.
Relax.
Fantastic.
Right. Cheers,
Good
mate.
on you.
Thank you.
Thank you.